All set? Facebook, how you doing? Dr. Brett Spradlin, and this is Divine Design Natural Health, and we are here for the first installment, part one of what we're calling Turn Back the Clock on Aging, anti-aging, turn back the clock. So anti-aging is a big, big, big topic, and hey, everybody make some noise for Facebook. We've got a room full of people here, and it's a good time. Andrew, I want to say hi to Andrew out there. Andrew's our normal audio video guy. He does a great job. He's not here tonight though, and so we miss you, Andrew, and Michaela. But we're going to get right into the brass tacks of everything. What I like to start out doing is reading a couple of testimonials each time so that you guys understand some of the things that we do here. So here's one. And we asked just two questions. How were you before and how are you now? Some of these might be from a week being here. Some of them might be from 2 months. So I'll try to catch you up on what the deal is here. And these are just ones from last week that we collected. These are the best ones from last week. What a difference 1 week can make. Before, I was easily fatigued and had tension headaches 3 to 5 times a week. Tension headaches 3 to 5 times a week, that's not good. How are you now? I haven't experienced any headaches, and I could tell by day 4 or 5 that I had more energy than my 9-year-old and 4-year-old. So when a mom's got 2 kids and she's got 3 to 5 headaches a week, that can really take a toll on your life, on your family, and on your kids. So that was within about 4 to 5. I could tell by day 4 or 5. So that's good. I had this is someone else. I had an intense pain in my hip, groin area on the left side. I had a difficult time sitting for very long. Driving for long periods became frustrating and painful. I had other pains, but my hip overpowered them all. How are you now? After 1 day on the supplements my body tested for, I had almost no pain. I don't make this stuff up, you guys. This is, I had almost no pain in 1 day. This first week I've had 50% decrease in hip pain on average and most all other symptoms I came in with. So this is how quick your body can respond when you give it the stuff it needs. But when you withhold the things that it needs, and then you give it further problems by ingesting a chemical toxic poison that your insurance paid for, you're going to make things worse. Make sense? Oh, that reminds me, we've got to talk about this. I have so much fun stuff to show you guys. This came in the mail today. I can't wait. I can't wait. Ooh, I can't wait. A couple more testimonials. I was a big skeptic. Is she here? No, she's not. I was a big skeptic, but had a lot of little complaints: allergies, bowel issues, hip pain, lifetime of weight issues. How are you now? It's been 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, I was walking somebody down the hall, and she was sitting on the couch, and she'd been a tough nut to crack for the first couple of weeks. I said, just chill, just hang in there. It's going to be okay, Walking the person down, someone else down the hall, and before I even got a word out of my mouth, this lady, she says, I'm a believer. It was great. Filled the whole foyer. It was awesome. How are you now? It has been 3 weeks. I've lost 7 pounds and have recovered a lot of energy and positivity. The hip and back pain has diminished, and I'm sleeping better. If you make someone sleep better, they're going to heal better. They're going to feel better in a matter of time, right? How's your sleep?
Wonderful.
Next person, arthritis in joints of both hands. Dr. Brett gave me my first chiropractic adjustment. People just don't know what chiropractic is. They really don't. Many people don't. And there's a reason why. After my first chiropractic adjustment, stiffness and soreness are gone. Can't guarantee it's totally gone, but can we work on it over time? If your body can heal in 5 minutes, can it heal in 5 months? So if that pain can go away now, what does that tell you about the future? Can it go away for good? Yes. Next one. 5-6 hours. How were you before? 5 or 6 hours of sleep, decreased energy. How are you now? Better sleep, more energy. Riding bike 8 to 10 miles 5 times a week. Lowest weight so far.
Wow. Wow.
Well, she's got a lot of free time on her hands. I need to put her to work. Here's somebody else. A gentleman that came to a class a little while ago, and we did the same demonstration we're going to do at the end of this class. And he laid down on the table, and we instantly figured out one of his problems. And now here's his testimony, probably I'd say 6 or 8 weeks in. How were you before? Chest pain every day. Oh, and he'd had a, very similar to our friend last night, but he'd had 2 or 3 open heart surgeries by the time he was mid-30s. Yeah. Open heart surgery. That's heavy duty.
Bypass.
I'd have to try to remember. I can't remember exactly. But it was heavy duty, and he was way too young to have this stuff. But his how were you before? Chest pain every day, no energy, wasn't able to do anything outside for over 5 or 10 minutes. And now here we are, I think we about 6 or 8 weeks in. He has 0 chest pain now. He can exercise with no pain, and he's able to work outside and in the heat for long periods of time, 6 or 7 hours, and he's lost 4 inches, 4 pant sizes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he had chronic sneezing fits. Those are gone. Oh, and his daughter was 9 or 10, and she was still wetting in bed. That's gone.
Wow.
So we don't have a testimony on that, I don't think. But you can change a lot of things very quickly. In June 2017, this is a new one. My daughter Cora with special needs and I came to see Dr. Spradlin for the first time with multiple symptoms. 1 year and 2 months later, I'm symptom-free, except for she's got a left elbow. It's still bugging her a little bit. My daughter has also made much progress with her health issues in spite of still taking some prescription drugs. When there's special needs kids involved, the doctor's going to fight the parents and everybody tooth and nail to keep them on the drugs. What a difference. I already read that one. I thought that sounded very familiar. But those are just a few of the great testimonials from last week. And that's what we're capable of. What we're going to do is I'm going to put aging right here, and then we're going to, how many of you have seen this whole breakdown before? It's very complicated, isn't it? It's very simple. You put a disease right here. This time I'm not going to call aging a disease. Aging, just like menopause, just like hormones, just like any other thing, just like birthing, just like childbirth, just like pregnancy, just like menstruation, all of these things that people think of as diseases, they're not diseases. But I'm going to put diseases of aging, okay? So we're going to say, whatever. We're going to put the big ones. We're going to put the big ones. And we're going to put Parkinson's disease, and over here we're going to put Alzheimer's disease. Because right now, if you don't know, America is getting torn apart by Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. People are dumping ice water on their heads, the silliest of all reasons, and putting it on video, and standing for something that they don't even know. They don't know what they're standing for. It's really silly. Not to disrespect anybody, it's great that they want to dump ice water on their heads to support a cause. I guess that's great. But really, to support that cause, you have to understand who's funding that cause. And you have to understand really what's going on behind the scenes, but figure out what's causing it. So the neurodegenerative problems that people have, the neurodegenerative, that's a big word for meaning it's tearing up your neurons, it's tearing up your brain. So we would call this and this and this neurodegenerative diseases. Stroke would be more of a disease of nutrition. Cancer would be more of a disease of nutrition, but you've got something tearing up the neurons. Parkinson's disease, ALS, Alzheimer's disease, autism, we call all of those MS. Anything neurodegenerative is where your neurons are being your neurons are being destroyed. Neuro meaning neurons, degenerative meaning degenerating. So the biggest diseases out there, the top 4 reasons people go to the medical doctors in the United States are cancer, stroke, heart disease, and diabetes. So I'm just putting all these up here because we're talking diseases of aging. And I better say this, diseases of, because aging is not a disease. Wrinkles, we don't call them wrinkles, we call them laugh lines. We don't call it gray hair, we call it blondes. You're getting blondes hair. You're getting blondes in your hair now. So aging is not a disease. Just think of that. Pregnancy is not a disease, okay? So all of these things here, every disease that you can ever name, every disease has 2 things that it's made of. A nutritional deficiency and or an organ dysfunction. A nutritional deficiency can cause an organ dysfunction leading to the disease, or you can have an organ dysfunction causing a nutritional deficiency leading to the disease, or you can have ratios of both. Period. End of story. Done deal. Drop the mic. Walk off stage. Done. That's disease in a nutshell. You can name it, you can stage it, you can grade it. You can blood lab it, you can CAT scan it, MRI it, you can PET scan it, you can ultrasound it, you can pet it and fluff it and water it and call it names and feed it and give it water, whatever you want. But the disease is caused by that. Period. If you take nothing else home, take that. Okay? Here's the deal. This organ dysfunction, a nutritional deficiency can be 2 things. It can be decreased nutrients or increased toxins. Because a toxin will cause deficiency. and a deficiency can cause toxins, okay? So cancer, if you were to break it down even farther, what's cancer really? Cancer is one of these two things. It's an increase in toxins or a decrease in nutrients. How many of you want to drink Drano for dinner? If you drink Drano every day, you get those toxins in your body, what will you eventually have? You ingest chemicals every day, whether through your skin, through your veins, through your face. You ingest chemical toxins, what are you going to have?
Die.
Dysfunction.
What are you gonna have?
Dysfunction, deficiency.
If you drink, I'll just say carcinogenic chemicals all day long, what disease will you end up with?
Cancer.
Everybody knows that. If you stand next to a disease giving off radiation, which is a toxin, it breaks human DNA, increases the aging process, right? Speeds up the aging process. If you stand next to a radioactive device, or if you get x-rays shot through your head every day, what are you gonna end up with?
Probably Alzheimer's or cancer.
If you, a toxin coming, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So if you get a lot of radiation, you're gonna end up with cancer, right? So when you are diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma or stage 2 stomach, or stage 3 or stage 1 or whatever, benign, metastatic, melanomic, whatever it's called, if you get diagnosed with that, what are the only 2 ways that you're gonna be treated in the United States? The 2 things that cause it, radiation and chemical therapy, or some people call it chemotherapy. So they're calling it chemotherapy because it's a shortened way of saying chemical therapy. But if you look at the actual, I've got patients working at the cancer center, they send me pictures of, here's the bag that we have to put the drugs in. It says biohazard on it. But you're putting that in the nurses at nursing homes have to wear rubber gloves to administer the drugs to people, but the person given the drug, where's that drug going? It's nonsensical. Completely nonsensical. You can't make this up. So here's one thing I want to show you. It's getting so bad now, and everything is falling apart. See, the drug industry knows what's up. And they know that people know what's up. They're losing their grip. How do I know it's dead? The drug era is dead. How do I know? Turn on the TV. Look how hard they're pushing it. America, one of 2 nations on the planet where you can advertise poisonous, toxic, pharmaceutical dope to kill people early. Yes, I said it. One of 2 nations that you can do this legally. Advertise it on TV. They're advertising and pushing billions of dollars of advertising. How much stuff on TV is advertised for free? 0. That's why nothing you see advertised on TV will help you. It will kill you, guaranteed. Little rule, if it's advertised on TV, not good for you. Little rule. Think about Budweiser, Frito-Lay, blah, blah, blah. So they know, you don't see a tomato being advertised. When was the last time you saw an advertisement for Brussels sprouts, right? So anything that's on TV had to have a bunch of money behind it, somebody advertising it, somebody patenting it, somebody investing in it. Everything on TV, think Super Bowl. The money is made on the Super Bowl before the game's ever played. It's already been paid for. They already know how much they're making. So all of that is already done. It's already on TV, it's already done. They already know that they're losing market share because they do stuff like this. They know that people are getting sick of the commercials, but they're pushing it anyway. Look at this. Well, I'll tell you this first. Well, no, let's look at this. I got this in the mail today. This practice got this in the mail today. Can you all read that? Can you read that, Facebook? We're delayed here. We're delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can come a little bit closer.
I just want everybody to get a good long look at this. I see myself preaching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go.
Now it lags. Alright, you're good.
Little lag time. See Facebook? Look at that. It says, take this free card, right on it, save up to 80%. Snap off and take to your pharmacy. This is a pharmacy savings card, up to 80% off your prescriptions. Now, I've gotten these in the mail before, like when I was in college and things like that. And you think, oh, great, I'll save money on prescriptions. This is just the beginning. And see, it's this company that says, what's the name of the company? Where are you? Single Care. Single Care. Dear medical professional, I'm not a medical professional. If I wanted to be a medical professional, I would have gone to medical school, but I didn't want to be a medical professional, so I didn't go to medical school. But it's funny that you're sending this to a medical professional. Funny, huh? Your cards are pre-activated and ready to use immediately. They entitle your patients and I love that word entitled, don't you? Mm-hmm. Entitle your patients and every member of your family to savings on every, in capital letters, FDA-approved prescription medication sold at the largest pharmacy chains in the nation. You see how they've said that? These valuable savings are available exclusively at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Kroger, Target, blah, da, 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 the biggest stores, right? With these cards, your patients can save up to 80% on all prescriptions, regardless of medical history. Every time your patient fills a prescription, they simply bring their card to one of the single care's partner pharmacies and save up to 80% on prescription medications, and then they list all of the names of the stores, again, like you need to hear it again, Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, you already know. So they're already losing market share. Here, and they're sending this to me, which, do they know I'm not a medical guy? Of course they do, they have to. They have to. My license is not a medical license. I never wanted it to be. But now I've got prescription cards. How many of you would like one? That's why you're here. Yeah, you start out. I knew that was coming
Don't
from
you start, Ted.
The other thing too, yeah, don't get this guy started.
Oh, jeez.
But the other thing too is I was at Publix about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I saw, how many of you know what Publix is doing? Publix, right down the street. $7.50 a month for all the drugs you need. yeah, my eyebrows hit the ceiling too. $7.50 for all the drugs, up to, I think it's up to a certain, I think 8 drugs, like you
It's
can get.
only, yeah, it's like NSAIDs and statins, so like cholesterol, and
Yeah.
I think they do like the Adderall,
Blood pressure,
and all of those.
Adderall, whatever. There's a certain
Like
list
the major
of drugs.
ones that really, kill you
Yeah.
really quickly.
There's probably catches, and I didn't get the paperwork on. I didn't read up on it because I don't give a rip. But it was this big banner on the side of Publix. Publix, by the way, Publix. Isn't it interesting? We put these two words together. This has the same importance in this nation as this. Isn't that crazy?
I'm gonna show Facebook.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Facebook. Food and pharmacy. So it's Publix, big giant banner. All the drugs you need, $7.50 a month. That's how I know they're losing.
Are you sure
The
it's
industry
all
is dead.
drugs? Are you sure
Like I
it's all?
said, I didn't get the paperwork. I didn't read up on it. It just said $7.50 for your monthly drugs. And I think I want to say whatever I read. I picked up a little pamphlet. I didn't get all the info on it, but I picked up a little pamphlet. I think it said up to 8.
Yeah,
wanna
it was,
say.
they had certain.
There
they
were
only do
stipulations.
certain drugs.
There were
but-
stipulations. Why? You get some ideas?
She doesn't take anything.
I don't take anything.
So Publix, Walmart, Rite Aid. I mean, Publix was not on that list. But how do you know they're losing? Because they're pushing it like crazy, and because you can do exactly what I did about this time last year, which is I was staying in a hotel in Florida, and I saw the drug advertisement, and then immediately after the drug advertisement was the class action lawsuit against the drug manufacturer, right back to back with the same commercial as the drug advertised. Unbelievable. Blew my mind. First time I'd ever seen it.
Lawyer commercials.
Yeah, the drug and then the lawyer commercial suing the drug company.
Exactly.
Which was built into the price of the research and development for the drugs. They know they're gonna get sued by a certain, million number of people, and so they have to build that price into
Yeah.
the lawsuit. They know that. They know that. Oh, and here's one too. I want to share this with you. This is getting a little off topic, but I can blaze through this stuff. Mary Ellen Locher Breast Center. Anybody know where that is? Okay.
In Chattanooga.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in Chattanooga.
This is a letter sent to a patient. Okay? This is how I know they're losing, because check this out. This is psychological right here. If you know anything about psychology, check this out. Dear Mrs. So-and-so, your mammogram was read by a board-certified radiologist. We are pleased to tell you that your mammogram and or ultrasound results showed no signs of any problem. A report of our findings has been sent to your physician. So what does that make you think? I'm free and clear. Keep reading. Please remember, not all breast cancer can be detected by a mammogram. Some cancers can be felt before they're seen, so make sure you're doing a self-exam, right? Sounds legit. Then you go down here. Please be sure to share the data and location, blah, 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 with your physician. Thank you for choosing Mary Ellen. Our mammograms are now double-checked by another image checker thing, more technology, and then more psychology. Your mammogram shows, I highlighted these two parts because this is what y'all need to see. Your mammogram shows that you have dense breast tissue. Dense breast tissue is common. However, dense breast tissue can hide breast cancer so that it may not be seen on routine mammography. Yeah, that's what I did too. And I'm reading this, and I read it to the patient. I said, did you read this last paragraph? She said, no, I just read the first one. I said, that's what I thought. She read the part, we're pleased that your mammogram and our ultrasound results showed no signs of any problem. I said, did you read the rest of it? She said, no, I did not. I said, read the last paragraph. And she read it, and it blew her mind. She said, well, they're saying I don't have cancer here, but here they're saying I still could. So why did I go here? Thank you. Exactly. That's just, exactly.
Unnecessary exposure.
Unnecessary exposure to what?
Radiation.
Ah, interesting. So if you get a mammogram every year from 40 on, what eventually do you think you might have?
Breast cancer.
When you smash your breast between a couple of plates and shoot it with ionizing radiation known to destroy human DNA? Do you think so? Maybe. Medicare will pay for it, insurance companies pay for it. So here's the deal, we don't do insurance. We don't mess with Medicare, we don't mess with insurance companies because we've already determined what they're doing. Here, this right here, this is more than your insurance company wants you to know. This is more than your medical doctors want you to know. If you know do they have a cure for cancer? I heard it how many times this weekend? Everybody coming up to me, they saw the books on the tables. We had, if many of you know, many of your patients here, you know the books and the DVDs we show. It's just showing. We have, thank you, plenty of time. It's showing. We're not just talking opinions. We're not just saying, oh, here's what I think, here's what I believe, here's what I feel. These are the top doctors on the planet. The ones I train with, the ones I travel with, the ones I study with. These are the top doctors. All these documentaries and all these things here, these are real live clinical results, not backed by pharmaceutical companies. These are people out in the trenches really getting people well, being healers, not doctors, not prescribers, healers. So this is my realm. So when we look into this and we show people cancer, we look and we go, there's only 2 ways you can cause cancer. It's too much bad stuff or too little good stuff. End of story. That is the cure, knowing the cause. That's the cure. Are they looking for a cure? Yes. But what is that cure going to be when they find it? Because they will.
Drugs.
What is it? What's it have to be? Say it.
Drugs.
Say it loud.
Drugs.
Drugs. Has to be. Or a vaccine, which is a drug.
Drug.
Right.
For surgery.
Well, yeah, radiation.
far as it-
Cut, poison, burn. That's it. They're going to rip out the tumor, but did they get every cancer cell? No, it's impossible. It's in your blood. Taking out the tumor and saying you're cancer-free, that's not right. It may look like it, but are you really cancer-free? So the only thing that you can do is boost your immune system. And how do you do that? Right there. How do you boost your immune system? The only way you can boost your immune system with the food that you put into your body and staying away from that stuff. Because that stuff that I just erased is this stuff. Every one of them. There's no safe drug. That's why they all have side effects. So, getting into the topic of, I wanted to read some of that stuff. This was off topic, the whole prescription card thing, but I thought this is too good. I have to share this with people. 80% off all your drugs. And then Publix, $7.50 for a month. And you guys can look into that, figure that out, get back to me. But I didn't go up to the pharmacist and say, oh, I need all your information on the $7.50. You know, somebody might know me in town and say, oh, I saw the chiropractor going up to the pharmacy counter. You know, it'd be worse than a pastor walking up to an all-night liquor store. You know? That would be bad. That'd be bad. Yeah. So just to get into, what do I mean by this stuff here? Aging. How can we tie all of this together? Well, this right here inside your, I said I was going to get to this a little while ago. 146 reasons why sugar is ruining your health. I don't worry about illicit drug use and stuff like that out there. It's a pittance compared to what we're doing to our bodies, what we're doing to our kids. This is should be on the left-hand side, 3rd or 4th sheet back. So if you look at this, you just scroll down and you go, okay, let me see. Sugar, let me see, number 18. Sugar malabsorption is frequent in patients with functional bowel disease. 19. Oh, I'm sorry, I read the wrong. 19. Sugar can cause premature aging. So people come to the anti-aging, they want to know, hey, what about chemical peels? What about cool sculpting? What about facelifts? What about tummy tucks? What are all of those surgeries? Chemical peel, what is that all about? Chemicals, right? The anti-aging thing, the best way to beat all of this stuff is not in changing out your engine of your car, it's in oil changes. In other words, prevention and maintenance is better than damage control. Would you agree? Any of you who own cars and houses? Preventative maintenance, right, is better than damage control, replacing the whole thing. So sugar causes premature aging. Yeah, absolutely. Antioxidants, good stuff. Free radicals, bad stuff. Sugar causes free radicals, causes increased aging, just like glucose. Glucose, blood sugar, all of that, the insulin, I've mentioned it many classes before, the number one thing, if you want to grow old, eat sugar and pump insulin into your veins. People who have been eating horrible diets and who have been diabetics on insulin and glucose, they look older. They look older. So premature aging, number 19. So sugar. What would sugar be? Nutritional deficiency, because you're getting increased toxins. Sugar is a toxin to the human body, especially refined processed sugar. And we'll differentiate between the carbohydrates and stuff later on. Sugar can lead to alcoholism, because sugar, you're decreasing the nutrients in the body. Central nervous system depressant, right? But sugar inflames your brain and can lead to higher alcoholism rates. And this is written by Nancy Appleton, PhD. You can go to her website and check all this out. So let's just add up diseases of aging here. Just a couple more. Sugar contributes to obesity. Everybody knows that. Sugar can cause arthritis. What would another age-related disease be? Arthritis. Multiple sclerosis. Sugar can cause heart disease. Boom. So if you have this, a nutritional deficiency, you see where the organ dysfunction comes in? And back and forth. If you have a trauma, organ dysfunction, then you can have nutritional deficiency. Somebody kicks you in the spleen, somebody kicks you in the liver. Yeah, it can go backwards too. So that whole ratio, nutritional deficiency and organ dysfunction, it can be 10%, 90%, 50-50, however you want to break it up. However you'd like. Sugar can decrease growth hormone. That's one of the main things I want to talk about here, because if you go into any Google search, or you go say you wanted to check out anti-aging, you will see all kinds of people pumping human growth hormone, HGH. You'll see websites talking about good diet stuff, and don't smoke, and make sure you wear your sunscreen, and other questionable things like that. But one big thing is human growth hormone. Where's the human growth hormone coming from? And how is it being administered? Injection, right? How many things injected into your body are good for you? Because the way that you were designed, you have a very specific designed mechanism of intake. Orally or nasally is the only two ways that stuff should get into your digestive tract, mainly orally.
Yeah.
So if you're bypassing digestion, think steroid shots, think allergy shots, think insulin shots, think any shot. If you're bypassing digestion, think vaccines. Why are all the kids really sick with all these allergies? All the stuff that they're allergic to. It's interesting that all the things that the kids are allergic to are the same components that are in the vaccines. Isn't that weird? You've bypassed their digestion and shot it directly into their bloodstream, meaning that your body's going to make antibodies to that, and the next time that you're exposed to that substance, you're going to have an anaphylactic reaction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're bypassing digestion, you're bypassing the acidity of your stomach, which you should never mess with. Proton pump inhibitors and Rolaids and Tums. You should never mess with that acid balance. That's where alkaline water comes in. So you're messing with that alkaline balance, the acidity of your stomach, and now you're susceptible to all kinds of things because you've injected it right directly past all of your defense mechanism. 80% of your immune system is in your gut. Did you know that? So you're bypassing all of that and sticking it directly in your blood. Bad idea. But if you just go right down this list, you can plug in all of these, what we would call age-related diseases, or all of these things where people just think, oh, he's getting old. Arthritis, that's one of them. Oh, you just get old and your joints rot. No, not necessarily. There's a Methuselah Foundation out there, and what they're doing now is there's a couple people who've lived to be pretty ripe old ages. Methuselah was the biblical patriarch, well, not patriarch, but a biblical character who lived purportedly 969 years. Back then, I see rolling your eyes. I see that. So, but Adam, if you look up Adam, interesting, 930 years. How could that be possible? Well, science and DNA proves that humans came from two people. And when you look at how genetics break down, if there were no flaws in human DNA, and if there was no aging, and if there was no disease, how long was man created to survive? He wasn't supposed to die, right? So 930, that's not a big stretch. And then you see, as progression, as the genealogies go farther and farther, you see Noah, 500 years. You see Adam, or you see, thank you. Then you see, well, by the time you get to Abraham, we're down to 120. Does that make sense? Interesting, huh? So you've got some people living to like 104, 109. How do they do it? All of the anti-aging stuff that we're talking about tonight, I boiled it down. Boiled it down. So y'all ready? Keep this in mind though. All of this stuff, every disease, every age-related disease you can explain, one, with sugar. So keep this in mind when we get to the diet stuff.
Sugar.
Because healthy aging, longevity, neurodegeneration, the prevention of neurodegeneration, optimizing brain function, everybody, these are the hot topics. These are the new things that everybody's talking about. How do you optimize brain function? Why would you care about optimizing brain function? I can think of a few ways. I can think of a few reasons. That one, that one, that one, that one, right? So if you're optimizing brain function, you're preventing some of this stuff. In other words, if you can keep people away from watching TV and getting freaked out by the pharmaceutical ads and the crap that's on TV every night and have them like actually reading a book or playing an instrument, you just offset all of those. Interesting, huh? Because every disease starts with stress. How many of you know that there's a class I do that's called Stress, the Death Cascade, or I've also done kind of another version of it called Every Disease in 10 Minutes. And we go through every disease. And we show how every stinking disease on this planet is caused by stress. And that there are 3 ways that stress occurs. Chemical, I'm gonna get rid of this. 3 ways stress occurs. 3 ways stress occurs. And it's kind of a triangle too, interesting. Structural, chemical, and emotional. What we're infatuated here with in America and in the world in general, everybody says, oh, it's so stressful, so stressful. What are they referring to? Emotional side.
Right.
Fear and anxiety, right? But the structural side of stress is an accident. You know, you fall, you trip, you get in a car accident. That's the structural side of things. You stress that organ, or you stress that bone, or you stress that muscle, and you sprain a ligament, or you strain a muscle. So that's structural stress. But then here's the one that everybody kind of leaves out, chemical stress. Everybody knows about chemical stress. That's why everybody's using essential oils now. They don't want to spray bleach in their house. They don't want to, they don't want to use bleach at work, right? So everybody knows about this one. Hardly anybody talks about it. They don't want to put sunscreen on their body because they know. So inflammation, we all know inflammation promotes cardiovascular disease. What is inflammation? Inflammation, 5 things. You need to take this home. This is a big, think of it this way. Swelling, this is how you know. Anytime you have inflammation in your body, if people just knew this stuff, a lot of people don't even know what inflammation is. That's the mnemonic. Swelling, heat, a loss of function, redness, and pain. If you fall down and you skin your knee, it's going to have swelling. You're going to feel heat there. Why? Because there's a lot of blood. That's also why it's going to turn red. And there's going to be pain there because you just scraped flesh off of your body. And there's going to be a loss of function because now you can't bend your knee as well. Does that make sense? So that's what inflammation is. And inflammation can be caused by, you could put inflammation at the top of that last triangle. Put inflammation there. Inflammation is a process that is a good thing, but it can be caused by organ dysfunction, or it can be caused by nutritional deficiency. So, cardiovascular disease, arthritis, heart disease, stroke, all of these can be caused by inflammation, including the rising epidemics of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Now, a couple months ago when we talked about this anti-aging thing coming up, I said, we can talk about skin, we can talk about chemical peels and facelifts and stuff like that all day long, but why wouldn't we prevent the wrinkles before we go cut them out? Wrinkles, hemorrhoids, varicose veins, spider angiomas, easy bruising, bleeding gums, they're all the same disease. Just like with Stress, the Death Cascade, you can show that stress causes every disease. We think we're smart because we locate it in different anatomical places. If you have inflammation of the joints, we call it arthritis. If you have inflammation of the pancreas, we call it pancreatitis. If you have inflammation of the stomach, we call it gastritis. If you have inflammation, you get these diagnoses, but that doesn't really tell you what's wrong, does it? But you just paid $100,000 for that diagnosis, and you went to the Mayo Clinic and you got 4 drugs and a CAT scan to find out that you had an inflamed stomach. If you think about all of the varicosities, all of the spider veins, all of the vein surgeries, the vein treatments, the deep vein thrombosis, if you think of all of these things that people have and get surgery for and cut and poison and burned for, really all of those are a breakdown, a decrease, a deficiency, remember this? Nutritional deficiency, organ dysfunction. Here's the disease, right? It's a breakdown in collagen, all of your wrinkles, all of your hemorrhoids, all of your spider angiomas. It's just, where's the vein, where's the artery located? Well, if it's in your calf, we call it a varicose vein. If it's in your anus, we call it hemorrhoids. If it's in your skin and your eyes, if it's in your outer portion of your skin, we call it wrinkles. But it's really just a breakdown in collagen. That's all it is. Does that make sense? Where do you get collagen? Your diet, right? So what's the organ breakdown? Skin. What's the nutritional deficiency? Collagen or protein. Most people aren't eating too much protein, which is why that little sheet right here said sugar leads to premature aging. Why? Because when you're eating a lot of sugar, you can't eat a lot of protein. You can only eat so much in a day. Your body is made of protein and fat. The American diet, the world's diet, is high in what?
Sugar.
Sugar. If you can only eat 3 things, but your body's only made of 2 of them, and you're eating the wrong one, are you going to be sick or are you going to be healthy? Exactly. So we won't get into much about the chemical serums and the peels. I don't want to bore you with all that garbage. The cosmetic surgery. By the way, does insurance pay for cosmetic surgery? Never. Why? It's elective. It's not needed, necessary for you to live, right?
Right.
Interesting. So the 4 ways that people die. This is very, very, very. Speaking of aging, I want to put this up here. Did you know that there are only 4 ways that people die? When I figured this out, I guess I might have heard this somewhere. Can't remember where, but it blew my mind.
Slowly, fast, tortured.
It's torture. You would think of that. You would think of that.
I don't know why I would.
Can you think of any other ways that people would die? Anyone in this room? It's down to 4. That's pretty simple. Homicide, somebody else kills you. Suicide, you kill yourself. Trauma, you accidentally die by a wall falling on you or falling off of a tower or a car accident, something like that. Or you just go to sleep. Natural causes, right? Interesting. So what we're concerned with here is this. So what do? I want to read you a little section of what we were talking about before. Something I wrote a little while ago, and I came across it, and I thought, we need to read this in this class. I need to read this to you guys. There's an awakening currently underway. Drug commercials, rising insurance premiums, reports of widespread medical fraud and corruption, pharmaceutical death tolls, and public suspicion that there must be a better way all point to a changing of the guard in healthcare and our traditional understanding of it. There now exists a generation of Americans who have put their relatives and friends in the ground unnecessarily due to medical complications, opioid overdoses, and procedures gone wrong. Every single day, patients parrot the plea of, I don't want to end up like, fill in the blank with parent, friend, neighbor, or coworker, who ended up on 15 medications, open heart surgery, a stint in the psych ward, and checking into the nursing home 20 years ahead of schedule just before retirement. We are the answer. We're the future of healthcare. We are the underdog. We are David, they are Goliath. We know how that story ended. The drugs are dead, the medical ship is burning, and like rats jumping into the water, doctors and nurses are waking up to the realization that they will one day become like their patients if something doesn't change. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Patients seek medical care from blind eye doctors, overweight gastroenterologists, psychiatrists who won't take the very drugs they prescribe, and pediatricians who won't vaccinate their own children. I wrote that a while back, and that was a little excerpt from some things that I put together for this class. But the polytherapeutic strategy to beat the aging thing, and I'll read this here before we get into the nuts and bolts. Prevention is the best healthcare. I wrote this a while back too. I figured this was right for this occasion. Health is a journey, not a destination. If you were to draw a graph of increasing health over time, it would go not at a 45-degree angle, but it would go like this, plateau, up, plateau, right? Everybody got that? It doesn't go like this. This would be, if you were to draw a graph of increasing health over time, it would not be a slanted line at 45 up or to the right. It would be a line that goes up, levels off, down, repeats in some pattern. This is normal, totally normal. This is also how relationships, jobs, normal life events occur. Restoring your body to true health will have great victories and likely moments of stasis, so you got to remember this. Typical prices of a CAT scan or an MRI can be in the thousands of dollars. Many times, patients are left wondering what's wrong because the tests come back negative, but they still have thousands of dollars in medical bills with nothing left to show for it. If you came here, for instance, for 1 visit a week for 1 year, that would be $2,000. If you were to say you spend liberally a $2,000 or $200 a month on, say, a year of supplements, that would be another $2,400 for a grand total of $4,400, which is a totally liberal example, but it's still much cheaper than most people's medical insurance premiums. What's an average medical insurance premium now? Anybody?
Depends on your age.
Yeah,
Ours are higher.
yeah, 500 to 2,000, I'd say, maybe, for depending on the family size. When your kids are potty trained, are you done taking care of them? No. The obvious answer is your health is the same way. Once we get you healthy and mostly symptom-free, your maintenance and prevention plan begins. Remember that the greatest wealth you'll ever have is your health. Without your health, you cannot generate wealth. And without wealth, very little sanity or progress in life can be achieved and or maintained. Your health is your wealth, for without it, you have nothing. Unless we specifically ask your body by the typical nutrition response testing exam that we do here, anything else we or another health practitioner would do is strictly based upon an opinion. And we talked about opinions earlier, right? So, how do we break all of this anti-aging stuff? How do we break all of this anti-aging stuff down where it makes sense for people and where it's easy? Because we could get into chemical peels, we could get into facelifts, we could get into, thank you, we could get into all of the, go to the gym, eat the right food, all this, but we're going to break it down very simply. It's right here. It's a polytherapeutic strategy. Poly just means many, or more than one, and this is how we would do it. There's so much evidence on this one, I won't even talk much about this. We won't even talk much about this first one, but I'm going to break it down. I'm going to share 4 of these. There's 8. When did you walk in here? You just dropped through the ceiling on me. Hi, Jane. Oh, and everybody, this is Jane. She was the first one that nominated us for the Funeral Home Award. And then she set a fire. It just lit up like fire. So I just had to give you a shout out. Love you. You're great. So there's 8 parts of this polytherapeutic strategy. I kind of went through and boiled down a lot of info on the anti-aging thing and put it all together. And I said, okay, well, let me see what the internet says. Hopped on the internet and everything I could find. If you just do a simple search on anti-aging, you'll see chemical peels and Botox and fillers and wash your face before you go to bed, eat the right food, which they say very little about. I've always noticed that. If you go to Health Magazine or womensfitness.com or something like that, and you read the anti-aging stuff or Cosmopolitan or whatever, it's always drink water, stay hydrated, wear good quality makeup, wear high SPF sunscreen. It's always so interesting to read. But then if you were to turn those high SPF sunscreens over and see the chemicals on them, it makes absolutely no sense. They're talking out of both sides of their mouths. So I put it all together. Chiropractic. If people really understood what chiropractic was, there would be lining up at the front door, knocking down the door, if they really understood the power of it. Like those testimonials that I read you. Chiropractic is the largest form of natural health on planet Earth. And just like those testimonials that I read you can get rid of somebody's dysfunction in seconds, minutes, days, weeks. You can cancel their carpal tunnel surgeries and their hip replacements. You can say, let's wait on this, just like what we did with my own mother. Hi, Mom, love you. She watches all of these, all of them. She'll remind me of things I said. Did I say that? Oh, yeah. Oh. So just like you can do with your own mother, when they say it's bone on bone, or we're going to schedule you for this, or we're going to schedule you for that, that's not necessarily what you need to think. The first chiropractic adjustment restored hearing. It had nothing to do with neck pain, back pain, or headache. How many of you knew that before this? Did anyone know that before this? I've told you that.
Yes.
Anybody ever heard that? The first adjustment in 1895, the first codified, systematized, like here's what chiropractic is adjustment. Yes, they had bone setters and people who worked on the pharaohs and the kings of countries in Egyptian times and Chinese dynasties. Very, very interesting how it was all developed. But Daniel David Palmer put it all together and systematized it and codified it in 1895. So it's been around longer than antibiotics, okay? And so he put it together and adjusted a janitor that was working in one of the places where he was at the time. And he adjusted this janitor and his hearing came back. And that's what started the whole chiropractic thing. The head of chiropractic, Daniel David Palmer, and the man who started osteopathy, or the doctors of osteopathy, DOs, were friends. they hung out. Andrew Taylor Still, how many of you know Andrew Taylor? A.T. Still University is a DO school here in the United States. It's where DOs, the original DO school. You have medical doctors who are MDs and then DOs. There are two types of medical doctors in the United States. Everybody knows that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Andrew Taylor Still was the founder of the osteopathic schools. Well, he and D.D. Palmer were friends, and Andrew Taylor Still said back in 1895, said, hey, I see the value in drugs. You need them for certain situations. D.D. Palmer said, emergency situations, sure, but that's not where they're going. If you adopt that principle, you'll be swallowed. You'll become a medical doctor, and once drugs, always drugs. So chiropractic and medicine stayed far apart from each other. Up until about the 1980s, when the Wilk versus AMA case came out, all of a sudden, if you're a patient here, the first documentary we have you watch, which so many people find so interesting, is a film called Doctored. How many of you have seen it? All raise your hands, don't be shy. Don't be shy. So it's a case, it's a story, it's a documentary about how this case came up. The Wilk versus AMA case was when Chester Wilk and a group of chiropractors got a whole bunch of documents delivered to them. And it was documents that showed that the pharmaceutical companies, the insurance companies, the government, and the American Medical Association were launching a conspiracy to try to contain and eliminate natural health. Now, why would they do that? Why would that ever happen?
Make more money that way.
Correct. So this went to the Supreme Court, and that was in the maybe late 1980s, early 90s, and ever since then insurance companies have accepted chiropractic, but they've relegated it, just like most medical schools, they've relegated it just to pain relief. Same thing they do with acupuncture, same thing they do with massage, same thing they do with everything else. Well, it's just pain relief. Pain is a symptom of what? Remember? Swelling, heat, loss of function, redness, pain. Pain is just part of inflammation, right?
Right.
Pain is just a symptom. The opioid epidemic is what? To kill what? It's to decrease what? The opioids are painkillers. So we're shutting off the pain response. We're taking your check engine light in your car and we're ripping out the fuse so that you don't feel the pain. Is the problem still there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So chiropractic, if people really understood what chiropractic was, yes, you're moving joints. You're moving. I get to answer that.
I'm sorry.
Hello. I have a rule. I get to answer your phone. So if people really understood, they would be knocking down the door, right? Because they have been told that it's just pain relief. Oh well, I ain't got to go to the chiropractor. I don't need my back cracked. I feel good. As I hear down here, but they're diabetic. They're weighing 50 pounds overweight. They're on 12 meds, and their skin looks like they're in a cancer ward. You can tell just by looking at people sometimes. So if people really understood what this was, they would be knocked down the door. Chiropractic is the oldest and most natural form of healing on planet Earth. So I won't get into that much more other than saying, yes, I'm a chiropractor, proud of it. Diet and supplements. Everything that you read, everything that you read tells you now that the #1 health problem on planet Earth is what? Anybody? Anybody?
Obesity?
Yeah, that's, yes, very much tied in with it. Why would that be though? Why would it be that?
Nutritional deficiency?
Yeah, because what is obesity? It's a nutritional deficiency. Pretty much, pretty close. But the biggest, yeah, and this is they're intimately tied in. I'll just go ahead and say it. Insulin resistance. So they're eating too much sugar. #1 problem on planet Earth. Doctors, countries, attorney generals, I mean, you just name it. In whatever country, it's insulin resistance from eating what? Too much sugar. Too much. That's why we talked about this right here. Right? Sugar, #1 thing that kills people, worst substance on earth. I've got multiple classes where all we talk about is sugar. That's it. Sugar, the biggest monster, the most evil substance on planet Earth, I think I called it one time. So, insulin resistance is the #1 problem in the world. Check this out. I will read this. This is a book called The End of Alzheimer's. Okay? Very interesting book. The first program to prevent and reverse cognitive decline. So we're talking about what would I wish we had multiple whiteboards, I always turn around, my notes are gone. But ALS, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's. The first program to prevent and reverse cognitive decline by Dale Bredesen, MD. Insulin resistance is arguably the single most important contributor to Alzheimer's disease development and progression. Are the hospitals saying that? No. Many of us become insulin resistant from diets high in simple carbohydrates, such as sugar, processed food full of high fructose corn syrup, sedentary lifestyles and stressful jobs, and home lives. The solution is a very effective combination of diet, exercise, sleep, and stress reduction. That's interesting, isn't it? How much does that cost you? That's why I went through those prices earlier. You could come here every week for an entire year and do a pretty liberal amount of supplements per month for a whopping total of about under $5 grand. But most people's insurance premiums are close to that, right? Diet, exercise, sleep, and stress reduction. Most of this stuff here you can do at home. Some of this stuff you gotta do here, which is so important for your cognitive health that you might call them your destiny, along with some simple supplements. Funny, huh? Now, I'll read this. Oh, here, let me read this too, because this is good. Without insulin resistance and its effects, Democrats could have robust social spending, Republicans could have a balanced budget, and the two parties might find a way to cooperate. And that should make people of any political affiliation happy. But with so much money diverted to care for obesity-related diseases and lost to lower productivity, the pool of discretionary funds for everything else has shrunk, arguably contributing to the polarization and paralysis of our national politics. What is that saying? That's saying that there's so much money being funneled into care for obesity-related diseases and then losing all of that to lower productivity that the pool of discretionary funds has shrunk, contributing to the polarization of our national politics. If we fixed the food problem, would Washington change? It would have to. It would have to. Ask Michelle Obama, right? But check this out. So it's talking about diet and supplements. Many physicians, and this is, how many of you know who Daniel Amen is? Does that name ring a bell with anybody? Daniel Amen is the leading guy on earth as far as brain imaging. He's written many books, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. Daniel Amen, he's got a lab out on the East Coast somewhere, and he does functional MRIs of brain and brain research. He's written a bunch of books, and he's gotten more images of the human brain than anyone's ever taken before. So he's a pretty interesting guy. And he's quoting Mark Hyman. I know a lot of you know who Mark Hyman is. So this is a quote from another book. Many physicians say that if you eat, this is so good. Many physicians say, and I've heard physicians tell patients this, tell this to patients. Many physicians say that if you eat a balanced diet, you do not need supplements. Check this out. If people eat wild, fresh, organic, local, non-genetically modified food grown in virgin mineral and nutrient-rich soils that has not been transported across vast distances and stored for months before being eaten, they work and live outside, breathe only fresh, unpolluted air, drink only pure, clean water, sleep 9 hours a night, move their bodies every day, and are free from chronic stressors and exposure to environmental toxins, then it might be possible that they might not need supplements.
Sounds like heaven.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Sounds like Methuselah. Sounds like Adam back in Adam's day, right? So basically what I did was I went through and I grabbed all of this stuff from all of the anti-aging stuff that I could find and broke it down into about 8 things. Here you're going to get 4 of them. You want the next 4? Come to the next class. Diet and supplements. Diet. We already talked about sugar. Gotta go. Your body's made of protein and fat. You have enzymes to digest 3 things: protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Everybody's eating this, and your body's made of these 2. So what are we going to have with health? We're going to have cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stroke, cancer, diabetes, right? See where this goes? So diet is pretty big. I had so many people ask me at Cody River Gym, what kind of diet do you do with people? I say, none. I don't do a diet with people. Oh, what do you mean? You do South Beach or Jen Craig or Weight Watchers? Or I just found it so interesting. What kind of diet? You do paleo, don't you? You do keto, don't you? I said, and I'd say the same thing every time. I'd say, if God made it, eat it. If man made it, stay away from it. Simple. Simple. And eat as much raw as you can and try not to cook it. If it has a commercial on TV, don't eat it. If it was made by a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, stay away from it. You know, I've got my little system down, but everybody knows that if the earth created it, then it would be good for you. But if man created it and sprayed it and hosed it and chemicalized it, it would be bad for you, right? So I don't do diets, but what this word refers to is the food you eat. But it's just become diet. Diet's a dirty word. So we just call it lifestyle. We just call it nutrition. Supplements. What about all of these articles I read online preparing for this class talking about if you want to live longer and have longevity, go get some selenium, go get some zinc, go get some vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. Those are the big ones. Why? They're all the antioxidants. But if you go down to the grocery store or you go down to, let me see, read the list here. If you go to Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Kroger, Target, or any of these other stores, what kind of supplements are you going to be buying?
Chemical.
Synthetic, megadosed, chemical, massive megadosed synthetic nutraceuticals made by the same pharmaceutical companies that you're trying to stay away from. Make sense? So everything that we're offering here, like we talked about here, standard process, everything we're offering here is natural, whole food, plant and animal based supplements. Standard process. This was made back in this cattle, and that was the multivitamin made back in 1929 that I just told you about. So very interesting stuff, because supplements, just like red meat, just like eggs nowadays, just like water, you have to define what these things are. You have to define what kind of water. Is it distilled? Is it RO? Is it alkaline? Is it, what is it? You have to define it. So supplements, everything we're doing here, very different. Very, very, very different stuff. Detoxify, we won't get much into this. I gotta end this and I wanna do a little demonstration on Hannah if you have everything. Detoxify. So when you have your triangle and it's a nutritional deficiency or it's an organ dysfunction and it's caused by increased toxins or decreased nutrition, how do you, when you have chemical stressors, when you have chemicals that you work around or things that you've ingested or things you've shot into your veins or your arteries or your organs, they're in your body, how do you get rid of them? That's the key. Your body detoxifies every day. That's what breathing does, that's what urinating does, that's what bowel movements do, that's what sweating does. Unfortunately, when people eat a lot of processed food, constipation starts because they're mixing water with wheat or water with flour, and some of you would call that
Paste.
paper mache paste, right? What happens when you put that in your gut? It locks things up. So constipation, you're not removing toxins.
Exactly.
Might you get a headache from that? Absolutely. If you can't pee, you're taking a bunch of drugs that are shutting down your renal activity, and now you've got urine, toxic fluid backed up in your body. Toxic fluid draws heat. Might that cause hot flashes, perhaps? Might that be a cause? If you don't sweat, if you live in air conditioning, when you don't get out and move or do anything, you don't get out in the sunlight like we did last weekend, you don't sweat for, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, might your skin, might all of those pores in your skin be dying to open up and let sweat go? That's why we use infrared sauna therapy. That's why we use ionic detoxification foot spa units. That's why we also do mechanical, those are the mechanical ways we do nutrition. But nutritionally, we do 21-day purification program, which changes everything. You're smiling. Changes everything about how you eat. How many of you have done that in here? Yeah. What do you think about it, Suzanne?
Well, you had me on 90 days.
Oh yeah, we did. Absolutely. Yeah, what do you think about that?
It was all right. I'm
What'd
not
you
a
think?
sugar lover, so
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have trouble with the sugar.
Totally. It was easier for you. Yeah, it was easier for you. Chris, what do you think?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was a different way, definitely, of eating, but it was good.
Yeah. Did that change the way you saw food?
Definitely.
Changes breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day from here on out, doesn't it? Yeah. Who else? Yeah, what do you think?
I really missed my steak.
I know. I understand. But now you're back to your steak.
Yeah.
Right? You took a little break and you said, okay, now you appreciate it. Now you appreciate that steak a little more or a little less?
Yeah, a whole lot more right after.
Absolutely. Do you feel better from before you did the 21-day to now?
I didn't know, I don't know if it was 21 days or just
Everything else.
the whole program.
Everything else we're doing? Yeah. So diet is a huge thing. And detoxifying, there's multiple ways to do it. You'll read stuff online like chelating, and you'll read stuff online like, I'm doing a cleanse that I bought down at the health food store with a bunch of pills. And I've always noticed people bring these things in for me to look at, and it's like a bottle of pills. And then I say, well, you're missing something. Where's the, it's a cleanse to change your body. Where's it tell you what kind of food to eat? You go, never thought about that. Pretty expensive, bunch of pills. The pills are going to detox you? Okay, well, what about food? Why aren't they mentioning that? That's crazy, isn't it? So, that being said, the very last thing, laser, cold laser. Here, we're talking about hands, very ancient stuff. Here, we're talking about vitamins and minerals. Here, we're talking about heat, water, electricity, and here we're talking about light. This is everything we use here. Got it. This is everything we use here to fix people. This is how we get these Testimonials. This is how we got the stuff on Facebook and Google that brought some of you in. Because we're just word of mouth, friend and family. If somebody comes from Google or Facebook, we have them come to one of these classes before they even get started. Because they have to know the philosophy of what we're doing. We're not going to just accept somebody off the street. But most people come in, word of mouth, friend and family. We don't advertise, hello, this is it. So this is how we get the results. Everything is ancient. My hands, vitamins and minerals, or you could say plants and animals. And I didn't make them. Plants and animals. Heat, water, electricity, light, that's it. They're all ancient. They can't mess you up, and nothing we do can hurt you. Laser is just cold laser. There's nothing hot, cauterizing, heating, surgical, cutting, torching, anything like that. The laser is just photons of light at a certain frequency of a certain wavelength to stimulate your DNA. The exact awesomeness of it is, it increases your ATP, it decreases your inflammation. Hello, it dislodges certain enzymes from pathways of inflammation, so you're not inflamed anymore. And it upregulates all of your cellular activity to build protein to heal that tissue, whether it's a ligament, a bone, a muscle, a nerve, a brain, whatever it is. So those are 4 things that we can do. The next 4 we're going to do in, where's that, what's the date? Next 4 will be, water is in between, and August 27th we're doing Anti-Aging Turn Back the Clock, Part 2. We're going to talk about a lot of, I might talk about chemical peels, cosmetic surgery, some of the monstrosities and the butchery that goes on with all that. But I doubt that we're going to talk about and advertise many of those things, because what this is here is just getting back to the basics. Anti-aging. What I'm trying to say is, if you're doing the right foods, good water, supplements, which you have to do, and you have to find a good source. If you don't have a good source, we know what to do. And here, we use all whole food plants and animals. We use homeopathic remedies. We use natural herbal botanicals. We use Native American stuff. We use everything all the way up to stem cells. There is a place for stem cells. They're not human stem cells at all. But there's a way to jumpstart we use them with very few people, but there's a way to jumpstart your organs so that they have the specific nutrients and the specific starting materials, the original equipment manufacturer, original pieces to regenerate. And some people need that. We don't use them with a whole lot of people, and you have to be here for a certain amount of time before we do that. They're ingestible, not injectable. So we do all kinds of stuff that many of you here don't even know, even if you've been here as a patient for quite some time. Yeah.
Where do the trans fats come from?
Trans fats come from refining and remaking the fats, like margarine, Crisco, all of that stuff, man-made fats. And you can also make trans fats from preparation, from cooking oils at super high temperatures and stuff like that. Why is that? That's a weird question. We're talking about anti-aging, you're asking me about fats.
I was reading your book you had me read.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, so Ted went to his doctor a little while ago, and the doctor was trying to scare him back into cholesterol meds.
Yeah.
And said, here's what he's going to say, here's how he's going to say it, blah, 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 blah. I've gone through this with my dad, my mom, I know how it is. They're going to scare you to death. Oh, your cholesterol's high. So Ted, I'm done talking about here. Just read this book. Just read it. Read chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8. Read it. So you've been reading.
Yes.
Good. Wow. Good patient. Good patient. So yeah, that was an odd question. But yeah, but see, trans fats will drive up your inflammation. It's a foreign compound to the human body. So when you ingest trans fats, that's why this is such a big deal. You have to know this stuff. You can't eliminate it, but you can limit your exposure to it. So you have to know that. Your diet is a huge deal, because everything you put in your body is either going to affect you positively or negatively. You're putting in deposits or you're taking out withdrawals. With everything you put in your face, I've heard it said best like this. Royal Lee had a quote back in the 50s or 60s. He said, most Americans are digging their graves with their own forks. This was 70 years ago. 70 years ago. This guy was prophetic. He was way ahead of the curve. So if you know that most of these compounds that are coming into your body, the preservatives, the flame retardants, all the artificial colors and sweeteners and things, if you know that, trans fats being one of them, and you can stay away from it, can that defy aging? Yes. Back in the day before we refined and processed foods, people lived a lot longer. Funny, huh? The way they got, the reason life expectancy was down in certain parts of history was people living in cities, which was not supposed to happen, sewage, rats all over the place, no indoor plumbing, no dental hygiene. That was what took out a lot of people, and people living way too close together. It was when people got out of those things and we developed soap and things from animal fat. We developed soap and things like that. That's when these disease incidences and prevalences started going way down. Does that make sense? So trans fats. I guess it did have something to do with the talk. I guess you were kind of listening. So that's part one. Now, we covered a lot of info. We broke down a lot of things. Any questions on any of this? Yes, sir.
You've talked a lot about sugars, well, and obviously like refined sugars is the big one, but what about sugars that are found in things like fruits?
Yeah, well, here's the kicker. That's a great question, and people always ask me that. So fruit, there is some naturally occurring fruit in...
So Facebook can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. So we had a gentleman ask, we've talked a lot about sugar and in relation to protein and fat, but what about sugars like carbohydrates found in fruit? That was your question? Thank you for reminding me. So there are refined processed sugars, like the wheats and the oats and the corns and the soys and the things that people, not soy, but that people need to stay away from because it's refined and it's processed. Then the naturally occurring stuff in fruit is usually, historically, at a ratio that the body can handle because there were vitamins and minerals and sugar, carbohydrate molecules hooked together in a beautiful matrix, the way that it was created. Then along came genetic modification. Pushed up the sugar content in order to sell more fruit, which automatically, because you can only have so much stuff in a fruit, you push up the fruit content and here plummets the vitamin and mineral content. Also, the other thing to keep in mind with fruit, because some people can handle fruit, and like when we do the 21-day purification, I tell people, if you're gonna eat fruit, you can, but just make sure you do three times more vegetables than you do fruit. If you do an apple, try to do 3 times more of mass of that with green, cruciferous, awesome, heavy-duty, dense, biodynamic, nutrient-dense food. Because the other thing is, when people start eating healthy, the first thing they'll do is juicing. They'll stop going to Pizza Hut and they'll buy a 12-pound bag of carrots. And they'll juice it and they'll pound it and they'll feel great. And they'll lose a bunch of weight. But what are they doing? They'll lose a bunch of weight for a little while, but they're increasing, like their blood glucose is going through the roof. They just don't know it. Because nobody was designed to eat, or to drink, I should say, 12 pounds of carrots. It just didn't happen in nature. It never occurred naturally. So juicing is a good first step, but it's not something to be sustainable for and maintainable for very long. But the naturally occurring sugar in fruit, when it's at the right ratio, that's why we tell people try to do as organic, free range, non-genetically modified, hippy-dippy, homeschool, get your homeschooled fruit as much as you can. Because we've messed with the ratios. And the genetic modification screwed everything up. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. What else? Anybody else? Let's do more questions. Suzanne, you got something. I see your gears turning over there.
No, I just wanted to say, I had shingles on my face, and after one chiropractic treatment, the 2 years of post-shingle pain in my face was gone.
Hallelujah. Right on. I'll repeat that. You mind if I repeat that?
That's fine.
I want to come over here and repeat that. Hi, Facebook. Suzanne here, wonderful patient. She said she had shingles on her face, and after one chiropractic adjustment.
You can have her come up here and say it, actually.
No, she's shy. She's camera shy. She doesn't want to make everybody else jealous. So one chiropractic adjustment, and the
2 years of post-shingle pain was gone.
2 years of post-shingles pain was gone. And you did that without the shingles vaccine. Yeah. Funny, huh? Very powerful. So yeah, I appreciate testimonies like that, because that just shows people the power of, there is a reason why people went to jail for this up until the 1980s. I have, some of my teachers went to prison because they were practicing medicine without a license. They weren't practicing medicine. No, medicine is drugs and surgery. They were not practicing medicine. That's what the whole Wilk versus AMA case that blew up was, so that's why that made such a big difference. The same thing that happened with Wilk versus AMA in the 80s is happening right now with vaccines. Just nobody knows about it because it's not on the airwaves. They're not going to publicize this. You've got two of the major whistleblowers for the United States Center for Disease Control that came out and said, yeah, we cooked the books on autism. It's all over independent media. You're not seeing it on CNN because who advertises on CNN? Every hotel you go to, every airport you go to, what are you seeing? Robin Meade, right? Isn't that crazy? So the same thing that happened with Wolf versus ANA is going on right now, just in a different arena. The most toxic, war-torn arena in all of medicine is vaccines. All you get when you talk to people is opinions. Opinions, 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 opinions. What about the facts? We've got tons of them. In books, DVDs, CDs, my education, anecdotal evidence, how many nurses have brought their kids in saying he's perfectly fine. Got a vaccination, he's not perfectly fine anymore. Nurses. So it's very, very, very common that people are very bogged down by the facts. So when you hear a certain testimony about something like this that people went to prison for very recently, you understand why they're breaking it down and saying, don't go to those guys, they'll give you strokes. What's up? Oh yeah, let's do a little demonstration too. This is how simple and easy. The nutrition response testing, when people see this, it's like a light bulb goes off over their pretty little head. And I just go, oh, that's beautiful, that's great. It's so simple. Your body is so easy. Your body, yeah, let's go over here. Your body is so, so simple to tell you what's wrong. You got a problem, it gives you pain. You got a little bit of ache, a little bit of headache, something's not right. You know, you got a little gut ache. Hey, maybe that wasn't a good thing to eat, right? Your body is so wise. We respect the body enough here where I don't give a rip about my 13 years and $500,000 education. I don't care. Your body does not care about the letters after my name. Your body doesn't care about your MD, about the surgeon. Your body doesn't care about the staging or the naming or the grading of the tumor. Your body wants to get better and survive and prosper and be productive. That's the way you were designed. That's what you are here for on planet Earth. You are not here to be drugged out of your mind. So when we communicate with the body and it communicates with us, this is how simple it is. Check this out. We just get a strong response here. Okay? Anybody can hold up an arm. When you go to an orthopedic surgeon and he tests you, or you go to your family doctor, back up a little bit, they do that. They go, hey, hold your arms out like this and just resist my pressure. They're checking your deltoid strength. Okay, go down like this. Don't let me push down. They're checking your bicep strength. Okay, don't let me push up. They're checking your tricep strength. We're checking. Any doctor on planet Earth knows how to do a simple orthopedic test. That's all that is, checking your muscles. Squeeze my fingers as hard as you can. They're making sure that your grip strength is okay. Any carpal tunnel patients would get these exams. Any lateral epicondylitis, shoulder problem, rotator cuff tears, any of these people would get those exams just to see where it's compromised and at what level. Is it a 1, is it a 10? Same thing here, we're gonna use this one. If I were to get a strong response here, and I would say, just match my pressure, good, that's a good, solid, strong response in that arm. If we were to hook her up to a lie detector, a polygraph, we would put pads here on her fingers that would sense sweat. We would put electrodes right here that would sense her heartbeat and her blood pressure. We would put stuff here, different polygraphs have different things. And they would measure, they would ask you, what is your name? What day of the week is it? How old are you? To establish a baseline of truth. Because your body will respond positively to things that are congruent to your subconscious mind. And your body will respond negatively to things that you do not like. For instance, this is Hannah, right? If I said, my name is Hannah, repeat after me, my name is Hannah.
My name is Hannah.
Good solid response, congruent with her mind, her heart, her will, her emotions, and her body. All say that is a congruent statement, that is true. If I force her to lie, thereby increasing her heart rate, her blood pressure, the sweat on her hands, and blowing out her pupils, if I force her to lie, let's see what happens. Say, my name is Mary.
My name is Mary.
There's nothing there. Try it, fight. My name is Mary.
My name is Mary.
There's nothing there. My name is Sarah.
My name is Sarah.
My name is Suzanne.
My name is Suzanne.
My name is Chris.
My name
See,
is
now she's fighting. She's trying to. Now say, my name is Hannah.
My name is Hannah.
Her body is congruent. You can do that with Love.
Love.
Hate.
Hate.
Your body doesn't like hate. See, the only reason polygraphs aren't admissible in court is because some people believe the lie to the point where it is their truth. It's the only reason they're not admissible,
Yeah.
right? Some people are so possessed of their own accord or of something else's accord that makes their truth is not true to anyone else. They're living in a lie. So if we use something that is a chemical toxin, remember when we talked toxins down here? This was brought in by a patient a little while ago, okay?
That was me.
Is this you?
Yes. My
Oh, yeah.
dermatologist recommended it to me for dry lips, to use it on my lips. I had chronic chapped lips
Yeah.
because
Yeah, yeah.
of a medication that they had me on that was a side effect of it. Told me gave me a sample of it, said go to your pharmacy, you will not find this in the lip section. You will find this where the lotions are. But put this on your lips, keep your lips
Wow.
smeared of this.
Yeah, this is the dermatologist.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I forgot it was you. And she grabbed it. I just said grab stuff. She just grabbed whatever. So that was funny. Huh. No,
I started having a rash too. I started having a rash on my body.
Yeah,
And I didn't know why. And this went on for like 2 years.
yeah. So multiply this times your Jergens, times your Vaseline, times your Victoria's Secret, times your Bath and Body Works, times your Procter & Gamble, with your Suave, with your your cheap stuff, your expensive stuff, doesn't matter. Just turn it over. If you can't pronounce it, you should. If you put it on your skin, if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't use it. But if you put it on your skin, where's it gonna go?
Inside.
Yeah.
Inside
In the
where?
bloodstream.
Inside where?
Bloodstream.
Right in your bloodstream. Is it gonna be everywhere on your body? Yeah. How do I know? Hormone creams. That's how I know. That's how you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hormone creams, bioidentical? No such thing. How? Bioidentical. Think about the word, bioidentical. Weird, isn't it? So Lisa brought this in. I forgot that was you. And it's funny that you have that. So she brought this in and said, because it dried out your skin, the medication dried out your skin, and then you went to the dermatologist and because your lips are skin, right? So it dried out her lips, and then gave her this, and I turned it over and I looked, and this is how simple it is. Really, it's how simple it is. Where does it say? When using, do not put into eyes, blah, blah, blah. Stop and ask your doctor if the condition gets worse. Keep out of reach of children. If swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center immediately. And I said, Lisa, where were you putting
Put
those?
our lips. Oh, God.
Right, every day, slathered. And a dermatologist gave you this.
Yes.
And she said, yeah. And it's supposed to not be swallowed. Yeah. And you were putting it on your lips. Yeah. So I said, well, let's check it out.
The rash immediately went away.
Got rid of it, rationally. So don't hold on to that. And just see. And I have not found a person yet that tests well with this. By the way, I use this almost daily now. So let's just see. So if your body, you hold this into your electromagnetic field, hold this into your energy, into your core, into your body, and your body is sampling everything around you. How do I know? Walk into a room where two people have been fighting and tell me if you don't feel it. Can your body feel this? Guaranteed.
Our energy radiates out of
Yeah,
us. So.
yeah. And you can literally test how far away, you can test someone and see how far away the body picks this up. We won't do it right now, but it's pretty interesting. So now what happens if we use just a whole food supplement? Good and strong, good and solid. I mean, I could lean on that all day long. I could stand on that thing. I could do a jig on this. It's not going anywhere. Oh, put that back. So your body says, no. Can you test your own stuff when you're at the supermarket? Yup. Figure out what your body wants? Yup. That is the respect that the human body needs to have. But instead, our medical system poisons it and tells it to shut up. Shut up. I don't want to hear your pain. Shut up. Take this drug. Shut up. Take this painkiller. That's what the medical community wants you to do to your own body. Don't do it. Make sense? Here, we won't do it anymore. But you can just test for what's this? Sweet and low. It's on the table at every restaurant you go to. What is it?
Chemo.
Aspartame.
Poisonous neurological toxin designed to kill humans in warfare.
Oh, my God.
What is this? Refined, processed, bleached white sugar. That'll kill you. We just talked about this. Also on the table at every restaurant you go to, right? What is this?
Another one.
Splenda, also on the
Splenda.
table at every restaurant, also chock full of chemical warfare, neurological toxins designed to kill humans,
What's that one?
is what
What's the
this
stevia?
was. Period. End of
I
story.
wanna see if it's gonna.
New stevia, oh, that's what this is right here. I've got some.
Oh, you do?
And then there's stevia. You can test and see what.
One.
Some people like stevia, some people don't. Some people's bodies, I've had too much sugar, don't want it, don't need it. But stevia is, it's a dried powdered herb. I would just tell people, why do you need stevia? Do you need sugar? Do you need the taste of sugar? 4 inches of heaven, 30 feet of hell. What do you want? It's up to you. They have to have something sweet. I'd say let's get you over the sweetness. Sweetness. You're already sweet. Why do you need anything sweeter? So stevia is an option, but it's just one of those things where you can test and see. The technology that we have is able to, tests like this can detect whether your body wants something or whether it doesn't. And I can tell if you're lying to me too. No, I'm just kidding. So that's the power of what we do. And the technology here, to be able to do that, it's been around for a long time. It's been around forever. How do you think those people lived to be so old? And people for thousands of years ate the organs and the glands and the tissues of the animals that they dropped on the open plains and in the forests and the woodlands. So they were very robust people. They were able to stay alive for a long time. They'd take the stuff back to the village. Someone with eye problems, what would they eat? Someone with heart problems, what would they eat? Who knows? How would they be able to know all that? How did they know this stuff? And why did we become so dumbed down to all of it? Well, one of the things we'll talk about in part 2 of this is how to minimize your stress, how to minimize and get rid of the negativity in your life, and I'm going to show you how to kill your television. Okay, we're all set.
Oh, no.
Facebook, thank you. Share this, like this, thumbs up it, click it, and we'll talk to you next week. 2 weeks, we're talking about water, August 13th. Thank you.